Love is voluntary. How to get? To ask ourselves how do we get is to ask ourselves how do we have? How to have. But to have would suggest that we are aiming to possess something, we are aiming to be in possession of something, which can suggest we are not in possession of the thing, because we are not to have the thing. To want something can suggest that we don't have the thing, because if you have a thing, then you typically don't really want it. It's stored away in your cupboard somewhere, in a shelf, in a box. You know where the thing is, just like in your pantry. Love is voluntary. That's where it's located. Somewhere where it's given freely without expecting anything in return. And to receive it, it's not really up to you necessarily. There are things within your control that you can do that invite love. You can enable love to be given to you, and you are free to access it. But it's not something that you can take. It's not something that you can hold down. It's just something that kind of is. If you look at yourself and you think about yourself, what goes on inside of you, and you observe the inner workings of your mind and your heart, you might find a similar conclusion to me, that love is voluntary. Love, if you didn't know, is given at the discretion of the giver. Love is given at the discretion of the giver. That's how love is actually given and received. Just like you yourself, you are selective when you're discerning who to give love to. Because unhealthy love thinks you have to earn it. And to a degree, sometimes it is earned, but at the discretion of the giver. You don't know how to earn that love. The person giving the love decides what is the requirement to give the love. You have. This is a formula that I've been studying, be, do, have. Sometimes we think that we have to have something in order to do something, in order to be someone. But the formula is much more effective this way. This way, not so much. If you want to be a millionaire, you don't have to have $1 million necessarily in order to be the millionaire. You sort of have to do this in reverse. You have to be the millionaire first in order to have the $1 million, if that makes sense. And the same is true with receiving and giving love. Because if you cannot change the story, you cannot change your reality. This is kind of a manifestation 101 thing, is that the cause of our reality comes from our consciousness. If you read the book The Secret, it's all about your thoughts. And you may have read that book and you may have consciously tried to think raw thoughts, but to your own judgment, something never really came through, or only very few things did. But the thing that's really happening is we have to change the story, the narrative that plays out in our mind as the second nature default. If you constantly affirm to yourself and you believe to yourself that someone you love abandoned you, walked away, discarded you, etc. Even if they did, with compelling evidence, do horrible things, and it doesn't mean that you should have to forgive them if you don't want to, but it does mean that we have to let go of the old story. Let go of the old story. That is the sacrifice and the price that has to be paid to enter into the new story. You cannot sit in two chairs at once. You have to remove yourself from the one chair in order to sit in the other chair. And that is who you are. If you are that person, then you can have that. Then, as a natural side effect, stay faithful to the thing that you want to have or want to be. Your assumption, they say, in manifestation. If we're talking about the Bible, which is the ultimate manifestation guidebook, actually, just stay faithful. If you know anything about Neville Goddard, he says, live in the wish fulfilled. But then there are teachings out there that say, if you think about the thing, you become anxious. And that is because we are living in the future, not necessarily living in the present. And we want the thing now. So we're impatient. We're urging for this thing to come about now. But what we can do instead to make the future actually come now is we already feel happy, already feel like you have the perfect misses. You feel like you're already there. It doesn't matter how. How? Doesn't necessarily matter. That will arise when the time requires it. Does not matter. The means doesn't matter at this time. If you cannot change the story, you cannot change reality. Let go of the old story and enter into the new story. My mind is all over the place because one of my old clients sent me an email saying how heartbroken she is that her romantic interest never got back to her, despite all the advice that I tried to give her to help her, changing the narrative. And it's true that obviously no one can help anyone in a single day, just like that. And I did my best. I'm sure she did her best too. And when we feel loss, grief, pain, you might get autoimmune diseases. Well, where did that come from? You might have bodily, physical reactions as a result of our own internal suffering. The stories, the narratives that play out in our mind, and we can't let go of that because of the story. Because of the story in our head. So if we get rid of this, we get rid of this. This is actually just shit, literal shit. You feel like shit, you are shit. And it's kind of no wonder why your romantic interest never really wants to come speak with you. That sounds really harsh, but sometimes I have to tell that to myself too, you know. Because you need to have a good attitude when times are hard. It's okay to feel like shit for a short period of time. It's okay, by the way. Tell yourself that from now on. It's okay. It's not, it will be okay. It is okay. It's okay. That's probably very easy for me to say when I'm very relaxed in this place, but we all go through tribulation. And the thing is, if you're experiencing this horrible feeling of shit inside of you, part of the reason we feel like shit is because we're scared, and there's a lot of underlying emotions here and there, and we're scared, and we fear the unknown. We are afraid of the unknown. And that is what scares us, because we don't know what's on the other side. But rest assured, even the people who have no idea what else to do have gone through similar experiences, and usually it takes about a year and they can somewhat get on their feet again. For me, it could be a few years as well. We always keep moving up, one step at a time. Baby steps. It's okay. That's a sufficient first step. It's way better than reminiscing over what they did to us, the horrible things that they do. We need to let go of those horrible stories. We need to enter into new stories, tell ourselves new stories. And we don't go telling the world necessarily what these new stories are. We keep it to ourselves, so that way no one else jeopardizes our own inner stories. However, we do test ourselves to a certain extent. We don't walk about our romantic interest door and knock on the door and test if our new story is true, necessarily. Instead, we test ourselves to see if we are sitting in the chair that we want to be in. Test yourself. Are you telling yourself the story that we need to tell ourselves to heal, to be in the state that we really desire, the state of feeling happy, the state of feeling relaxed, the state of feeling love? Do we feel that already? And then just put it in the cupboard somewhere, put it in a box, and leave it. And you come back, holy shit, this thing's been growing since I've been leaving it. The Bible gives us instructions on how to manifest different things. The parable of the seeds, how the seeds grow. There is a scripture that states, the one who has, more will be given to him. But the one who does not have, even what he has, will be taken from him. That is the law of the universe, and I've experienced it, and it's strange as hell, but it's just the way it is. So, don't cling on to that old story and tell yourself, I knew this wasn't going to work out. No, if you knew it wasn't going to work out, you knew that you were going to suffer, you knew that they were an asshole, you knew that they were causing you pain, then have more of that. You choose at this point to keep receiving more of that, unfortunately, against our own detriment. So instead, we give the coin, we take the coins that we've been given, we use the resources that are available to us. By whatever means necessary, we duplicate those talents, those coins that our master gives us. Our imagination. We use our faith. We do whatever we can to ensure that we're sitting in the chair that we want to be sitting in. And then one day, out of nowhere, unbeknownst to you, like a thief in the night, something happens. You weren't expecting it. But this thing comes along. The effect causes to become, it brings itself about. And it tests you to see, are you actually sitting in that chair? And when that happens, if you're pretending to sit in the chair that you want to be in, you will probably be kicked off very easily. 9 out of 10 chance. But if you're actually sitting in this chair that you want to be in, you're already happy, you're already feeling great, it doesn't really matter if our romantic interests drifted off to the left or they drifted off to the right. We are already relaxed, okay, not really thinking about them too much. despite all the pain and hurt that we've been feeling in the past. Not necessarily moved on. We've just let go of the old story. That's upside down. And we understand that love is voluntary. And we receive it. We tell ourselves a story. That someone has chosen to give us love. It doesn't matter where or how that happens. That's just who we are. Out of nowhere, like a thief in the night, you will be given that. And that is a very strange way of me explaining how you receive love. And you can somehow get over your past form of romantic interest if they hurt you.